And we are live with episode 182 of the Start, Build, Growth Show. Randy Brothers, my friend, what is going on? How are we doing?
We are staying somewhat warm. For those of you in the not in Dallas getting hit with hailstorms last night, but those of us in Colorado, it is exactly 0 degrees outside and snowing. So
Mm-hmm.
we're in the thick of the winter months, but I'm loving every minute of it because it gives me a chance to really do what I love to do best, and that's work on my business. So it's been an awesome month because I'm all in working on systems, working on processes, making things happen, really getting ready for this upcoming spring season. So living the dream. And once again, man, we was 180 something times and we just continue to get awesome guests that, man, I got to tell you, I am highly intrigued. I just had the opportunity to meet Tiffany and I can't wait for the show. I'm excited. This is going to be fun. If you're tuning in on the podcast, bear with us. You're going to get some education here and I'm excited about this. I'm excited to hear your story, Tiffany, and kind of hear how you're impacting the roofing industry in a big way. So for those of you who are just tuning in, maybe for the first time, make sure to make sure to subscribe, comment below. Let's get the dialogue going. Let's get the conversation going, and let's make this show epic. Welcome to the show, Tiffany Snow with CMR Roofing.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Tiffany. Thank you so much for joining us. You guys put on quite a show with the Win the Storm, with the cars and the boats. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I got to meet a few of you guys on the team. I got to meet Steve. I got to meet Daryl. Awesome team. Really excited to be sitting down and talking with you. Now, so Tiffany's, before we dive into the meat of things, before we get into all the tips and tricks of how people can step up the commercial sales game, we just like to talk about your background. So how did you end up getting into roofing? Did you always wanted to be in roofing, or what's the backstory here?
Never did I want to be in roofing, ever.
Are you sure?
No.
Yeah, are you sure?
I mean, I got a son in the first grade, and last year in kindergarten, they came home. They fill out the form of what do I want to do when I grow up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check your references to make sure you didn't write roofing
No.
in there when you
In
were
the
in
first
school.
grade, I wanted to be a truck driver. So.
Oh,
All
that
right,
works. I
that's
like it.
pretty cool.
No, I grew up in West Texas, and I'm actually an oil and gas accountant. Coming out of the oil field. But how I got to roofing was I fell in love with a roofer.
Love brought you into the roofing space.
It did.
Yeah.
He kept begging me, and I was like, no. But he finally wooed me over.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So love brought you into the roofing game. So what did that look like? What did you start doing? What were your responsibilities? Tell me a
You
little bit
know,
about it.
in the beginning, about 17 years ago, I basically just kind of supported him and helped him a lot. Monty is one of the smartest commercial roofers I know, and then he just kept asking me to step up my game. And then about 12 years ago, I started my own company in Texas, in a small town where we were from. And I said, okay, I'm just going to do this small. I was building some timber frame barns and just kind of doing the entrepreneurial thing and doing some residential roofing back then. And he just kept pushing me and pushing me. And then it just developed, and I stuck with it. And I had a great business. I had a great team. And then Steve Soleil came to us a few years ago. We'd known him a long time, and can't say I trust everyone in the roofing business, but I do trust Steve. And so he came to me a few years ago to Monty and I and asked us to come on board and absorb our whole team. And so we were reluctant for probably the first, I don't know, maybe year. I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. And then we came on full strength, and this is where we are today.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's super cool. So when you were running the business, what were you really good at? What were your strengths? Was it sales? I know you said that you have the accounting background. What was your strengths?
My strengths are sales and production.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, to organize the production. Not so great at marketing. I don't relate to the marketing side of it, but definitely sales on the commercial side, and the production, making sure that it's running.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
So
Randy, that's a pretty good combination of skills right there, sales and production, when you say.
yeah.
Yeah, it's you're a little bit of a unicorn. Most time it's either or, right? Production, you got to
Correct.
be detailed, you got to have thick skin, you got to be able to
Yeah.
really really roll with all the the waves of random fires that are going to come at you all day. And
Yeah.
sales is a little bit more emotional and a little bit more, lack of detail, if you will, just
Yeah.
historically, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so to have be good at both those is definitely a good
Yeah.
attribute to really accelerate someone's career for sure.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love being able to watch the numbers, on a job and like my budget margin is a goal to hit, and I like being able to beat that. I love being able to beat the schedule. I love taking a team and educating them on how to do good production and showing them the way to it. That I love to empower people and to educate them. So
Yeah, I love that.
that's where we are.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that too. So when you started working with CMR, then did you go directly into the commercial sales side of things, or what was kind of
Mhm.
it was?
Well, Steve let us come on as a team, and we brought our own team into CMR. I brought in my own superintendents, and eventually had our own project managers. So we operated almost independently inside of CMR for a while. And so I produced before we had a good project manager for our team dedicated. I produced almost all of that 32 million myself. But I have excellent superintendents that are on site at all times. But yeah, when we came on as a team, and my title was account manager, but we also produced what we were selling.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then so with CMR, right? So let's say I know now you actually are the director, right? Director,
Yes,
yeah, which is very impressive. So congratulations
thank you.
on that. Well deserved, obviously, based off of your performance and everything like that. But when you first started with CMR, tell us a little bit about that. That commercial sales role. Obviously you've hit some huge benchmarks, but like, was it kind of building up and kind of learning throughout, or
No,
how did you get there?
yeah, that's a great question. So we I turn leads into other leads is what I do. And I'm constantly connecting some of my clients to other clients. I
Hmm.
have a little bit of
Mhm.
commerce in my background. I was president of the Chamber of Commerce from where I came from. Um, and I'm constantly trying to connect clients with my other clients and introducing ideas or being a resource to my clients. I've never really felt like I was a
Mhm.
salesperson, more of a problem solver and a connector. And so what it did was it just kept creating leads after leads. Um, you know, our motorsports was great because it's name recognition. And I just kept connecting the dots with people. So one client would refer us to another. And I always wanted to go in with capital asset management for our clients that had multiple properties and across the country and provide that to them because I feel like that's a good future pipeline for us when I can tell them, okay, you need to do these 3 roofs now, but these in 7 years. So I think that's one of the things that I did that other people don't think about is sometimes you go in and you think just of a onesie roof or a one-time project. And I don't
Mhm.
do that.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
yeah, go
that,
ahead.
that's pretty common. Anytime we talk about commercial stuff, and I think the mindset shift we got to make is like you're playing the long game with
Mm-hmm.
commercial. This isn't we talked about residential earlier and before the show, and it's residential, it's get in, get out, move on, right? Commercial, it's you're playing the long game, right? You're
Yep.
looking to build a relationship then that can eventually blossom into something else. And it's mentioned that you just mentioned how you're able to take that one and then connect those. I love that, like, I don't know what they call it, like triangulation, like, when you pour into others and help them get connected to somebody else, it solidifies and builds that relationship even stronger. And I think that's one of the things that I really try to do just in life in general is it's not about what can I get from a relationship, it's what can I give to a relationship, right?
Yes.
What can I do to help you get connected with this person to then grow your business, to then level up your game. In return, the natural benefits from that are, you reciprocate, or they're going to reciprocate back to you.
Yeah. I love people and I love my team. And, like we have clients buying us gifts by the time the project's over. I mean, I even had a client that made me a special t-shirt, me and my superintendent, that was like, you know, the t-shirts that say I came and I saw and this is all I got or something. It was like I came, I roofed, and this is t-shirts all I got. So we have special connections, and I think that's just something that I just naturally do. I'm very protective of my clients and their projects and how we're going to take care of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What are some tips there? I mean, there's going to be a lot of people listening to this, watching this, that, the big buzzword, everybody's trying to get into commercial. What are some tips and tricks? Like if I'm, someone who's just trying to, spread my commercial wings,
Yep.
what's maybe 2 or 3 things that I can take home today
Well,
that's going to help me?
And real quick before you give those tips and tricks, I don't think we mentioned this in the recorded version. I have it in the post, but Tiffany did $32 million in commercial sales. So remember, we have a rock star, right? So listen, soak in the information and see what you can learn.
The funny thing is when Steve Slade called me and told me what I did, I didn't even know. I was just working all year long. So I never really stopped and added it all up. But tips are I'm going to say knowledge. I have account managers that we've hired that have no roofing experience, but Steve and I like their charisma and their connections. So I team them up with someone that has the knowledge. Gain as much knowledge as you can, or team yourself up with someone that has that knowledge and learn as much as you can. What that knowledge is going to do is give you the confidence to speak to your clients. It's not just about a sales personality when you're in commercial like it is in residential. Residential has a lot more emotions involved, and your personality can sell, a contract. In commercial, it's about your confidence and how trusting and secure your client feels. And the more knowledge you're going to have, the more trusting they're going to be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I
That's
really
huge.
like that.
And that's something to really kind of digest and break down a little bit. And because a lot of people want to make this transition, they think, oh, I'll just go, walk into a building and convince somebody to give me an insurance claim on $1 million job.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. Like you
Yeah.
have to be knowledgeable enough to walk into a situation, evaluate a project, and find a different solution than what they may think they have. I had a conversation with one of my commercials watching right now, one of my commercial reps today, on how, he went out to a job, year and a half ago, and the facilities manager had spec'd a specific application on a single ply project. And he came in and was like, no, we don't want to do that because that's probably going to end up getting moisture up underneath and you may have condensation problems and whatever else. And he thoroughly explained why a different solution is better. Next thing you know, we get the job for $100,000 more than what the last guy
wow.
was. That's the level of professionalism. And you cannot just overnight have that level of confidence, knowledge. I mean, he's been doing it for 12 years.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that you just can't learn it overnight. But I want a takeaway there, I think, is you got to be a student of the business, right? A student.
You do.
Of
And,
roofing.
Teamwork is extremely important, especially in commercial. And you've got to, some people want to get greedy with their commission, but if you'll just share it with someone that knows what they're doing, that it just broadens the horizons. You learn, plus you can do so much more. So at CMR, we've really created the teamwork culture. Every project has a whole team. CMR's creative because we don't depend on one pipeline revenue. Storm restoration is just one of our pipeline revenues. And then we've got GC new construction, and we've got retail bids, and we've got national accounts, and we've got historical restoration. So all of those have a different level of knowledge. Some of those hats I've worn and some I haven't, but being in storm restoration, like I said, at When the Storm, you can't send someone weak to a storm to respond. That's and you've got to be pretty tough, and you got to be pretty confident. And the only way to do that is with your knowledge. But yeah, just surround yourself with someone that's got that and learn from them in teamwork.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that, because I mean, I'll take a moment too to like, same thing. Like I own a roofing company. I oversee, the commercial. My partner runs residential. I run commercial. And I'm just so proud of the team. Like we've worked really hard, in putting a team together. They all have certain skill sets and they work really well together. And that's like, gives me so much confidence that no matter what project we're on, we have an amazing team behind it. And that's something I think a lot of people don't grasp. you have to make a significant investment and a big risk to put people in a position to work as a team to execute these high level projects. You can't just have one person out there hustling,
No,
hiring a crew, hoping the job goes right.
no.
Next thing you know, making hundreds of thousands of dollars in mistakes, right? Give us some tips on the team perspective. I mean, without going too deep, we don't need all the inner workings, but if I was trying to do this, what would my team look like? What would my team consist of?
So your team, if you had a commercial project with the way CMR does, is that you would have a team of 1 to 2 superintendents per project. You'd have a project manager. You have an account manager that is your point of contact. And
Kind of
then
like the salesperson or business development person.
account managers are like salespeople, but they're there to develop the relationship, and it's not just a sign and drive or a salesperson. So, and then we have an estimator. And then above those levels, there's another team that oversees each individual project team. We have a senior PM, we have a senior super, we have senior estimator, and then a senior account manager. And then above that is me, is the director. So that's every project has about 4 people as a team, and they're with that project from the time it comes in all the way to the end. Everyone owns the specifications together. Everyone owns the budget together. Everyone owns the process together. And so what it does allow for us is sometimes if someone's less experienced in a project, well, then we've got the experienced team members to help, either educate, experience, or pull the load on that project. And it just results in a happy customer, happy client.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I mean, and so one question I had to follow up on that was more on the sales side and the customer experience, separating yourself. I know you guys mentioned knowledge, you mentioned confidence, but what are some unique ways that you guys feel you can utilize to separate yourself from the other 3 or 4 roofing contractors that might be looking at that project as well?
Oh, well, we're the best.
Goes back to confidence, it looks like.
Yeah, I think it's the company we're with. It's CMR. We're 20 years old. With that has been a lot of mistakes that we've learned from. So we've got a team of experience. I've been around commercial roofing for 17 years now. We have a lot of people in our company that have been around for a very long time. So to separate us from other companies, it's going to be first the experience of CMR. And then the next thing I would say is just the assets of our people and the culture of our company. That separates us from other companies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Randy, what do you think about? Oh, go ahead, Tiffany. Sorry.
It's okay. Not all roofing companies can adapt to different settings. Not all companies do, low slope fulfillment centers and the governor's mansion of Utah. So, we've got a vast variety of experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that culture piece is interesting because if you have a unified culture and a unified team that are all working well together, that's going to reflect directly onto the client, and it's going to give that client a certain level of confidence, right? When we're going into, a big HOA presentation or a large, maybe a group of investors or somebody to try to sell a deal, we're not just going to send one person in there. You're going to send a team of people, and and when we're trying to connect with them, it's like, this is our team and this is what each one of their responsibilities are. Make that transparent to the client to give them that confidence.
Yeah. For instance, we had a big presentation today with a client here in Orlando, and we had a couple of our staff members that were out, but Steve Soleil flew in, and he and I went and did this presentation together. We never want anyone to ever go into a client alone unless, they absolutely have to. We have a lot of fun with our clients. That's what the motorsports is for, is to have fun with our clients. And that creates a fun culture for us to relax and get to know them. So they kind of become part of the family. We've got long-standing clients that have been with us for a long time, whether they're a GC, multi-property owners, property management. So
changes the landscape. When you're in the sales environment with them, it's just a way different experience. They already trust you. There's already credibility there. They like you as a person. it just changes. It makes it that much more enjoyable too in terms of doing business. I do want to take a quick break here to thank our sponsors. Then when we get back, I thought we could break it up into two. So we could talk about salesperson, commercial salesperson, how can they improve their skills, what to look for in a company to work for. And then we could flip it and kind of end it by some tips for someone who's running a commercial sales team and how to be successful at that. So
also real quick before, we got a handful of people watching live.
Yeah.
If you have questions while we're doing this little break, feel free to throw some questions in there. We'll try to squeeze in a little time for Q&A at the end as well.
Oh, show. Good call on that. All right. So we'll start out with Job Nimbus.
Job Nimbus is a fully customizable back office solution.
Track leads, jobs, tasks from one easy-to-use software.
And with the largest ecosystem of integrated partners, if we don't do it, we have a friend who does.
Learn how the #1 back office system in roofing
can help you be efficient, be organized, be professional, and be profitable.
So if you have not checked out Job Nimbus yet, make sure you do so at info.jobnimbus.com/roofing-academy. And for our friends out there in Dallas, looks like you guys got hit once again. So you guys are going to need to use this.
If you're in the hail game, if you're working hail claims and selling roofs that have hail damage, you need to know where the hail is, how big the hail is, and when it hailed. If you're on the fence, it's a game changer.
Make sure you're checking out our friends at hailtrace.com, getting all that data on the people who've been impacted so you can maximize those opportunities. And then, hey, if you want some leads from search from that storm, you got to check out Hook.
Is it time to turn the heat up on your marketing?
The website's now been live for 4 months. We did just under $100,000 of leads coming out of organic SEO.
Check them out at hookagency.com. And now we can get back to the show. All right, salesperson Tiffany. If I'm a commercial salesperson, I'm trying to develop, I'm trying to improve. I want to be the best. I want to make that money. I want to have a successful career. How do I do so?
Well, I think I've talked about the knowledge of it. Follow-up and organization. Those are extremely important. In the commercial world, they want their answers and they want them right now. It doesn't matter if it's a VP of engineering with a client or if it's a GC, they are very demanding. And so you've got to be prepared, organized for that and have your team or your staff ready to support you. So I think that is probably one of the most important things is to be able to provide them the information and the communication.
And I like that you mentioned follow-up too. The one thing I'm working on this year is I want to be better at follow-up. If you can be better at follow-up, you're going to have a good year. You're most likely going to have a good year. Randy, what do you have to add on to that?
Same thing here. That's the one thing that everyone knows is important, but we all neglect, right?
I probably suck at follow-up with my family, but I'm pretty good at follow-up in the commercial world.
Yeah, so that will help.
No comment. I love you. Love my family. Love you guys.
Think
Sorry,
about
I haven't talked to you in a few days.
Right. What about looking for a company to work with? If I'm a salesperson, I feel like I have the goods. I feel very confident. I got all the knowledge I need. What should I look for a company? What should they be equipping me with and stuff like that?
One is you need to look at the company's reputation and track record and their length of experience, but you also need to look at what the company advertises, their expertise, and does that match your skills? So you wouldn't want to go, if you're just a low slope and you've got a Rolodex and a pipeline and your experience and your skills are low slope, you wouldn't want to go to work for a company that, does primarily steep slope and decorative, like play tile or something. So make sure that you're matching your skills with that. And there's support, you want to look at how they're going to support you as well, because you're going to be giving your time and expertise to that company, but how are they, going to support you? Steve Soleil gets in the ditches with us. For real. And he works more hours than most of us. And I try to keep up with him as much as I can, but you want to see what kind of support they're going to give, and then look at their marketing and see how edgy is it and how is it prepared for the future. Those are the things that I think are very important.
I like that you mentioned marketing too, because I always think of it that way. Like if I was gonna go, obviously if I'm looking for roof, I'm looking at the reviews, I'm looking at the website, the social media, everything like that. But if I'm looking for, a career opportunity, I'm doing the exact same thing. Right. I'm a researcher. Do they look edgy? Do they look cool? Like, all right, I could be interested in this. Now, actually I want to switch you here. Clayton, who's on Randy's team, he has a question on the follow-up side of thing, actually. What's your preferred follow-up schedule once a proposal gets sent out?
3 days.
3 days.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. All right.
What about after that?
Yeah.
3 days. And then depending on, and I have a system of how I do it, 3 days. And depending on what the answer is for there, if they're still reviewing, then I put them on a weekly follow-up.
Just a weekly drip.
I just call
standard
them
every week.
Where are we at until they tell me, okay, we're going to, pause that. And then all clients are on a monthly follow-up, no matter what.
Yep.
And
this is all, do you automate any of that, or do you making phone calls there? Or
it depends. Sometimes it's an email, text, or phone call. It just depends how the relationship is being developed with the client.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right. So now, with you being the director over there, so we can kind of talk about tips for someone running the commercial sales team. Maybe it's just starting with, high level strategy. Like, are you doing a lot of team meetings, or what do you guys think in terms of being successful with your team and make sure you guys hit your goals?
So a couple of different things is, one, we do a weekly team meeting of all of the account managers. I find my role more as a supportive position. Like, how can I support you? How can I go in and help you close something or develop a relationship that's just beginning? Other tips that we do with them is some special teams. Like if we're after a special industry or a special client or a special project, and we have a couple of account managers on that, then I have those on a monthly follow-up to see where we're at leading into that. We have constant communication throughout the days, whether it's through text messaging and phone calls, of touching base and seeing where they're at. We're extremely tight and supportive, even in our personal lives. So if someone's got accounts and they're, something personally is heavy and they're not able to pick up that football, then we do that with each other as well. So I think that that's probably the best thing to do, is just constant. But we definitely have a weekly call of where they're at. We look at their goals at the beginning of the year. And kind of get what their targets are. They're never set in stone. Those are always moving targets, but we always try to talk about that at the beginning of the year and where we're going. I like to have a suggested plan, but I don't really like to set hard goals because I feel like those are boundaries.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, you guys are very virtual, right? Because you guys are all over the place and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, tell us about your guys' work, virtual work and what tools you use, or how you guys run that.
So we use Google Meet internally, and we're on it all day long. Almost, there's a whole bunch of us that are on there all day. We're all pretty connected virtually through. It's a Google platform, and we can get on each other's calendars, and and we can do it instantly. Like I've called up an account manager and I'm like, hey, I want to show you something, and so we'll jump on and look. It's a great collaboration. It also allows for us to work sometimes non-traditional hours, like I might have a meeting with someone at 7:00 in the evening on a subject because neither one of us were available during the day. It's an opportunity to balance and integrate work into our lives. I mean, because roofing is not a 9-to-5 Monday through Friday job.
No.
It's almost all the time. So a lot of us have integrated it into our lives. I've Google Meet with someone at my daughter's ballet recital before.
I like to say roofing is not a job. It's not a career. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle business. If you want to get into the roofing space, you got to be prepared to.
Yeah. I remember when my husband said, wait until you get the roofing curse. And I'm like, what is the roofing curse? Well, now I can't go by a building. I can't look at a building. I can't nothing without.
Well, what about watching like shows, right? You watch TV or a movie, like you're looking at like, oh, that's a presidential. That's a Spanish tile. Oh, look at that roof. It's terrible.
Unfortunately, I don't get to watch much TV. I'm kind of slightly maybe a workaholic, maybe.
Just a little bit.
Oh, I love it. And also for other tools, I want to see I want to see a roofing company start using Slack. I don't know if there's anybody out there who's ever used it, but we used it at the company I worked at before. Used it. I
Yeah.
love it. I think it'd be kind of cool if seeing some contractors out there using that too for internal.
We haven't used Slack. That conversation has occurred. I've got some people outside of CMR that are in the roofing industry that were on the WhatsApp. But a lot of, we do some Google chats here and there. And just some group texting is our collaboration platforms.
Yeah, we don't use Slack, but we do have a group chat that we use. I think we're actually a Facebook group that we use. And then internally, I think the office staff will use the Google Meets or do like a little Google chat thing that's just always up right there, communicate. Because we're like hybrid, some virtual, some not virtual, and then some days are all virtual. So we kind of have a hybrid system going right now. And it seems to be working pretty well. I mean, people really like that. They work efficiently, as long as they're working efficiently, right? But I think the culture, people's attitudes and energies in the right place, when they're not feeling confined to this 9 to 5, be in the office, clock in, clock out type of environment. It's just, hey, we work until the job's done. And
we have some people in our home office, and we have staff in each of our sales centers. But the rest of the commercial division is all pretty much remote. And I think that's another point of success is that we're all over the country. And so I call them assets. I'm like, we got assets everywhere. If something happens in a part of the country, I got somebody to call.
Yeah, for sure. And people are looking for flexibility nowadays. The more flexible you are with their schedules and working with them, they really appreciate that. It's a great way to retain people too. So
that's great.
But yeah, so as we start to slowly bring this thing to a close out, this has been an awesome episode for sure. We always like to end it with a golden nugget, right? So a golden nugget, something to leave the audience with, the last note, if you will. So Randy, for the 182nd time, you make him go first, and then you get to close it out then, Tiffany.
Well, man, you always catch me early on these, and I'm trying to be creative, but it's hard not to take something from, from what we talk about during the show to kind of bring it all back, But the reality of it is, like everything in life, even from whether you're selling, whether you're communicating with your team, with your family, no matter what it is, like you've got to invest into those relationships. Right? You got to invest in yourself, but you got to actually invest into relationships and do whatever you can to give to others without expectation. Okay. Stop giving to gain, giving to give what you can. Like give for the sake of giving. Just give, just serve and support others and see what happens in your life when you make that shift to purely giving to others and serving others without any sort of expectation for recourse. I guarantee that some really cool things will happen in your life.
Amen to that. That's in line with today's conversation. All right, Tiffany, what we got?
I think my golden nugget would be quit bitching and just get it done. I mean, just seriously. I mean, like, let's just go do it. Don't set yourself goals because those are boundaries, and I feel like you're going to stop yourself. Just keep going. Just don't stop. Don't give up. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to lose some deals. That's okay. The next day is a new day, and you're worth it. So when you know you're worth it, you're just going to keep going, and clients will know it. So yeah, quit bitching and don't give up.
The clients can feel the energy for sure. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, Tiffany, thank you so much for joining us on episode 182 Start Build Grow Show. Some awesome information today. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Take care, everybody. God bless.
Bye, guys. Thank you.